I am joined right now by AEW wrestling star Powerhouse Hobbs. Big match coming up, big weekend for the company. Revolution's on the horizon, but you have a chance to be the face of the Revolution. You're one of the participants in the Face of the Revolution ladder match. But before I get to that, a bit of breaking news today. You have California roots yourself. Two big shows were just announced. June 1st at the LA Forum, and then June 3rd, Rampage in Ontario. How's it feel as a California native to, finally get a trip home, kind of have sort of, a hometown crowd? I know you're a little bit further north than where these shows are at, but still it's got to be a good feeling to have a show in your home state.
It's exciting. I saw those announcements maybe like 15 minutes ago, and the best part is I don't have to be on an airplane for more than 5 hours.
Right.
It's gonna be a quick 45-minute flight for your boy. So, but I'm excited. I think the West Coast wrestling fans just bring a different feel and vibe to professional wrestling. So I'm excited for this.
And I mentioned you're a bit closer to like San Francisco. I think maybe the Cow Palace might have more meaning, but what does the LA Forum mean to you? I know maybe growing up in that Showtime Lakers era, or having a building with that's like a sports fan's dream, especially if you're a basketball fan. Are you looking forward to maybe mixing it up in an arena like that?
I am. I wasn't thought about during that Showtime era for the Lakers, but I did hear stories from my uncles and my grandparents. They would actually travel down to go watch some of the Laker games. So just the Laker games they've had there, the boxing events that they've had there. So that specific building does have some history, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it.
Yeah, and I it's kind of before my time a little bit too. So
there we go.
It's just cool because like you hear these stories about, like Madison Square Garden comes up, and then Chicago, and people talk about the way that the noise echoes off of the roof and stuff like that. And it's like getting perspective on these, AEW wrestling hasn't been in this building, and I think it's been 7 years since the last wrestling event's been in the Forum. So
no, definitely,
it's going to be a learning curve for everybody.
Arn Anderson told me a story about when the NWA when they had a show at the Forum, and he would just tell me about the energy in the building. So I'm looking forward to get some of that.
June. That's June. Couple months before we get there, as I mentioned, this weekend, Revolution weekend, that's in Orlando. The Face of the Revolution ladder match. There's, as you guys qualified for this match, I think a lot of people thought, this is going to be a heavyweight battle, a hoss fight. Now you have a guy very well in Ricky Starks, and then Orange Cassidy in the mix. What are your thoughts going into the match right now that, you have 5 out of the 6 names that qualified for the match? You have a better idea of how this match is going to play out, but you still have that wild card, so to speak. So tell us how you're feeling going into the match.
I'm excited. I'm not what do I want to say? I'm not taking anyone light. It's a ladder match. Anything can happen. I do know they need to reinforce these ladders with Warlow and Keith Lee and myself, but like you said, I know Ricky Starks pretty well. I know Orange Cassidy pretty well, but just we're gonna blow the roof off the place. But like I've said before, since I qualified for this match, this whole night is going to be a powerhouse night.
Not getting ahead of ourselves, but what can you bring to the TNT Championship that Sammy Guevara or maybe a past champion hasn't been able to do yet?
Dominance. I mean, as you can tell when I'm in the ring, I don't play. Yeah, I'm going to bring pure power and dominance.
I mean, you're pretty straightforward in what you do in the ring. I don't want to say a man of few words, but you know,
You can say that. You can say that.
I I don't want to ruin it by saying you're a man of few words because we're having a great conversation so far here. So
I like you. I like it. We're good.
All right. But I do want to get back to the dynamic you do have with Team Taz. You look at a guy like Ricky who does a lot of talking. Both of you are very talented in the ring, but you're going into this match where one of you is going to have to win. So there's always talk of groups splitting up. Team Taz is not excluded. You already got, you had that play out with Brian Cage. So how do you want to maybe break that status quo? And, do you guys want to be the stable that can, find single success and sort of put that talk of a split to bed?
People are already talking about us splitting just because Hook is doing his thing and me and Ricky are kind of involved together. I want to put it out there. We're a tight unit. There's no disagreements in Team Taz. We're all very close. And if it came down to Ricky getting this TNT title shot or myself, then we'll deal with it how we deal with it. But we're not breaking up. I hear that every single day, every single week, but my goal is to climb that ladder and win this ladder match and get that TNT title shot.
And his goal's the same. I mean, you can't.
It better be the same.
Yeah, you can't put it any other way.
Starts, I know it better be the same. I wouldn't expect anything less from him.
I think maybe fans have been conditioned to think that a group's going to get put together for them to break up, and it would be nice to kind of not have that conversation and just let it play out the way that maybe the group intends or the writers or however, it would just be nice to kind of not always have that over your heads.
That's true. I mean, you look at Team Taz and there's not one weak link in this group. Whether we have single success together, we're good.
How much of that on-screen dynamic is real behind the scenes? Because you guys, close-knit group, you have Taz, a guy that's done so much in the business himself. He talks about, coaching his son, but how much do you feed off of each other? How much has he helped you grow, since you've joined AEW, joined Team Taz?
I mean, what you see on TV is what you see off camera. There's no faking the funk with us. We all text each other every single day. As far as me, Taz has pulled me aside so many times and, kind of gave me that look like you need to go be this killer. You need to go do what you got to do. And Taz has broke down matches for me. He's, call me anytime and gives me pointers and advice, and I can go straight up to him. And he's done that with Ricky. He obviously does that with his son Hook. So Taz has been wonderful. I grew up watching Taz, and there's if you watch closely, there's kind of some similarities between Taz and myself when I'm in the ring. It's all because I'm learning under his tree.
One of the obvious ties, the black and orange, you see it in your ring gear. And one of the things I kind of pay attention to is your looks evolved in the past few months or, the past couple of years since you've been there. And then you've seen it in some of the like the overalls and, some of the airbrush stuff. How much of that presentation, the visual presentation, how much of that do you think helps you connect with the fans?
I think it does help. I think the stuff that I like as far as the overalls, and that's stuff what I grew up like seeing guys in my neighborhood wear. That's stuff that I wore as a kid. I'm a big Biv DeVoe mark, and that's what they wore. I had a flat top and a pair of cross color airbrush jeans, so, and as far as the way I look in ring, intimidation factor, that's just all me. That's that's just the environment, how I grew up, and I think it does come off well because a lot of the younger generation is looking at that, and I've been at shows where fans had their own airbrushed overalls on, and people trying to do the snarl that I do.
Yeah, I think today more than ever, presentation is so important, especially when you go on social media and trying to stand out. But one of the other things that I really appreciate is you've talked in the past about, you know, your upbringing and how that is an important part of your story. How do you want to continue sharing that on AEW programming? Like, I know that's a lot of the, you know, behind the scenes or maybe in interviews, but, you know, do you feel like that's another way for people to relate to you and sort of get behind you? Do you see any of that?
It is. It is when the time comes and the time is right. I would love to have a sit down interview and talk more in depth about that. But as far as, I mean, I think from my past interviews, people do have an insight on my upbringing, how I grew up. And I've said before, I'm sure there's someone out there that's probably is currently now in the position I was in, and hopefully they can find some type of inspiration.
One of the other things that you have going on, and you know, this is all kind of talking about presentation, but maybe this one isn't, but the Who We Are album, you're involved with that, and that's also another way not only to tell your story, but for people to connect with you outside of the ring. Did you have a goal going in? Like, here's what I want to accomplish, or was this like more of a collaboration?
Well, it was a little bit of both. The artist that is one of the artists that is on my song Powerhouse, Righteous Reg. I've known him for a while. He's did a few highlight reels for me, and he made custom songs for me, and he knows my background, he knows my story. We talked a little bit about what I wanted to talk about, what we wanted, what main points we wanted to get across. So it did help that he knew a lot about me.
Yeah, and I would encourage anybody listening or who might read this to go check that project out. I've only really learned about Reg in the past couple of years, so you know,
great independent artist.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of great insight on the wrestling business too. He's thoughtful, but funny as well. So
he is. And he actually was in charge of writing an article about me in Pro Wrestling Illustrated. So.
Yeah, I'll give him a few cheap plugs right here. PWI, people might know him from Black Wrestlance 500 last year. He's one of the guys on Grapsody, on Fightful, so doing a lot of really cool stuff surrounding the wrestling business. Go check him out, and then, like I said, go check out the album.
Great album. I think everyone on that, like that whole album was good. Like I've got insights about some of my coworkers I didn't even know just by listening to their song.
Yeah. We started talking about today's big news, which was the California shows, but something that's kind of maybe going in a different direction. A lot of the Batman, the live action movie reviews are coming out today. And while I was preparing for this interview, I saw somewhere that you weren't really a live action Batman fan. No, but you liked Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, I mean that how cool was it watching Batman the Animated Series? Like, that's like what Batman should be. You know, the best Batman film I think was the first one with Jack Nicholson as the Joker.
Yeah. Well, no, I actually appreciate that you said that. You know, I love the animated series. That's like kind of how I broke into Batman, broke into comics. So that was.
Have you watched it as an adult? Like it's different from me being a young child watching it. Like it's some serious shit. Like what? Like it's pretty violent.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max now. The whole
yes, that's how I watch it.
Yeah, so I go back and I watch it. Any favorite villain or episode stand out from that series?
I like the episode where I think it was the 2-part one. I'm gonna kick myself in the butt. What's the clay? The guy that was an actor, but he put the clay on his face.
Clayface.
Yes, Clayface. There you go. Duh. Like that was pretty. That was pretty serious. That, and I like how they introduced Robin.
Okay.
Coming in, how Bruce took him in.
Yeah. I'm a Riddler guy, so I always gravitated towards those. But there was the one where the Joker was, I forget who the guy was, but it was called Joker's Favor, and he was like chasing the guy, and he was like driving behind him, and he like told him, he's like, oh yeah, I owe you a favor, I'll get you back, and then like Joker was trying to track him down. Like I love stuff like that. When you think about it, like you said, it's kind of dark, and you think it's like, oh, it's just a kid's cartoon, but there's layers to it. So,
but it's I don't know, like watching that stuff is so cool. Like, what's another, like watching like X-Men the animated series as an adult, it's much different watching it as a kid.
Yeah, and now it's coming back because it's that people want it back.
Yes,
so I'm excited for that.
It should have been back years ago, if you ask me. But
I'm right there with you. We'll have to wait and see. I think that's next year. I don't know, but I wanted to thank you for your time today. I'll get you out on this.
Thank you.
Going into Revolution, is there a match or moment since you've been in AEW that really highlights who you want to be as a performer, or who maybe you think fans, if you were like, here's this match, here's what you can expect from me as TNT champion moving forward? Is there one that stands out?
You gotta look at my match with I feel the same about all these matches, and it's a match with Christian, my match with Hangman Page, my match with obviously CM Punk, which holds a special place in my heart, and he knows why, and my match with Orange Cassidy, like my Eliminator tournament match with him, and then you look at the 3 series of matches what I had with Dante. You look at all those matches and you can just see how I climb the ladder every match. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but you see the improvement, you see the champion qualities, you can kind of glimpse what the future may hold. So, and March 6th is going to be no different. I got an ally in the match, got some enemies in the match, but in the end, I will be climbing that ladder and standing victorious.
There you go. Clear statement, confidence heading into Revolution. Powerhouse Hobbs, thanks very much for your time today.
Thank you.